Hi guys, we're back. So this one, as I said, is going to be, we're going to kind of veer away now from this, pardon the pun, I'm going to veer away from the accident now and talk about the brain tumor that was discovered. Not as a result of the accident, but quite by accident because of the accident. So, as I had said before, I was suffering from really severe vertigo. Hello, I'm going to look over here now. So I was suffering from really severe vertigo, really bad headaches, just all, since the date of the accident. And it basically, as I said, had started that night and just got progressively worse. So the accident, again, having been May 25th of 2015, I believe that it was August 25th, and I'm going to check my dates. You know me, I got to be all like OCD and stuff here. Where am I? Yes, August 25th. So June, July. So 3 months post-accident. My family doctor, actually, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself again, see? If you remember in yesterday's video, I had said about my wonderful physiotherapist who had said that she didn't want to touch my neck, like, at all, because she had no idea what was going on in there, and she said, it's some pretty funky stuff, and I don't want to touch it. So she had sent a recommendation to my family doctor. Hello, over here. She had sent a recommendation to my family doctor that I should have an MRI done on my neck before she, was willing to continue treating it. Last thing she wants to do is be responsible for causing further damage. So that was I think that was in July sometime. I think I'd been seeing her for about a month at that point. And it does take some time to get an MRI booked unless it's, an emergency. So the MRI department at the hospital had called me and said that we have an appointment booked for you for August 25th, 2015, obviously, for your head. And I said, for my head? Why do you want to do an MRI on my head? It's supposed to be my neck and spine. And she said, well, first of all, neck and spine would actually be 2 separate MRIs. Tea tonight. No Timmy's. So sad. That neck and spine would actually be 2 separate MRIs, that they can't really do the whole shebang all at one time. Why have I got my glasses back on? So anyway, that this one was on my head. And I said, well, why? I'm confused. I don't understand it. It's not supposed to be for that. And she said, well, that's what your doctor, and I again, would love to mention my family doctor's name, but I don't have his, express permission to do so, so I'm not going to. She said that is what your doctor has ordered for you. So I thought, well, that's a little weird. Like, what is he doing? What are you thinking? So I called him and I said, I just got a call from MRI and they have a date for me. And he said, oh, good. And I said, why? Hair. Ow. I said, why do you have an MRI booked for my head? I'm confused. And he said, I'm concerned with the vertigo and the, the headaches and what's been ongoing since the accident. He said, I think we should have a look at that. And I said, well, yeah, I totally agree, completely agree. But I thought right now the more concerning thing was what's going on in my neck, and the fact that my physiotherapist can't provide treatment for me, until she knows what's going on. And he said, yeah, I said, we're gonna get to that. But he said, I'm concerned, like, I don't know what's going on with your noggin there. So let's get that looked at. So part of this video, I'm going to read you a post, that I put on Facebook, back in 2015. I can't remember. I believe it was in September, certainly. Yeah, September 15th, 2015. I was diagnosed on the 2nd of September. So, yeah, I'm just going to start reading this, and I'll pause where I need to pause. And just 1 sec, because I'm going to pause for 1 sec. Bear with me, guys. Okay, so we're back. Trusty, yeah, this is going to be, I'm sorry, guys, but I'm not probably going to make it through this one. Without bawling. It's a whole different thing. I mean, I could have very, very easily been killed in the accident, and I've had so many people say that to me, that you're so lucky that, hello, you're over here. You're so lucky that you weren't pushed into that oncoming traffic. You're so lucky that you weren't pushed down over that embankment. You're so lucky that just the sheer impact didn't actually snap your neck and kill you, or leave you, you know, quadriplegic with not much quality of life. Where was I going with this? Where was I going with this? What was I saying? Oh, guys, I'm losing it. This is me. Bear with me. I was going somewhere with that, and oh, I know what I was going to say. You know, the accident is one thing, in and of itself, and it has completely affected my life in every conceivable way, you know, physically, emotionally, mentally, financially. I was happy. I was really, really happy, and we had a beautiful, wonderful life, and someone else took that away from me, and that's not okay. And it's not ever going to be okay. I know that it wasn't done with malice. It wasn't, you know, somebody didn't do this to me, you know, on purpose. That it was simply that, an accident. But the fact of what it's done to my life, and you know, we're going on for, you know, it's over, you know, over 2 years later. It's not okay, and I don't think it's ever going to be okay. And yeah, but the tumor is something completely, a whole different animal. So yeah, this is, and I hope for all of my brain tumor friends out there, I hope y'all are joining us here. I know this isn't live, but I hope you're all joining us, and you know how much I love you, and I'm going to get into saying some of that in a little bit. But anyway, okay, so here we go. This was from September 15th. I'm reading this off of my laptop, guys, so bear with me because I'm going to be looking up and down and up and down. Okay, so September 15th, 2015. Hi, my dearest family and friends. I have struggled with the notion of to post or not to post about what's happening in our lives right now. I was afraid that it may seem needy, like I'm attention-seeking or grandstanding. I'm sorry if it appears that way to some, as that is not my intention. I, after all, don't have an STD or something shameful that needs to be hidden in a dark closet. Oh my gosh. This is my best friend like responding to a ton of stuff here. I love you, do. I, after all, don't have an STD or something shameful that needs to be hidden in a dark closet. The way I see it is that the more people... Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, guys. One moment. One moment. Does anyone know how I turn my volume down? Just bear with the noise. It's my best friend. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to start right back here. Okay, I, after all, don't have an STD or something shameful that needs to be hidden in a dark closet. The way I see it is that the more people who are aware of whatever journey you are on or whatever struggle you are facing, the more support you get. And I always believe that there's no such thing as having too many people that love you. My kids are part of a big blended family. We've been a blended family since my daughter was 4, and she's 24. So there's no such thing as too many people that love you. I'm kind of a people collector, I guess. Anyway, As most of you are probably aware, I was involved in a serious car accident on May 25th, 2015 that I was lucky to walk, well, crawl away from. And no, before you say it, the accident was not my fault in any way, so keep your deer whacking comments to yourself, LOL. Backstory on that quickly, I have hit 2 deer. I've hit a deer twice, not the same deer. I hit a deer coming home from work one night off of afternoon shift in like November of 2010. And then I smoked another one on the way to work one morning at about 5 a.m. In July of, oh gosh, I can't even think now, 2012 maybe. So yeah, I'm pretty good at whacking large mammals. And of course, the girls at work, when I worked at the nursing home, the first one was bad enough, and it was like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was stiff and sore, but I was fine, and I was very upset about the deer. And the second one was like, oh, come on. I said I couldn't help it. It was like somebody threw it on my hood and went, here, have a deer. And the second one, the first one just caused minor damage to my car. The second one actually wrote the car off. It was a big buck. And surprisingly, I really wasn't hurt at all. So, sorry, I'm digressing again. So, pardon me. Excuse me. Tickle again. I need more tea. Okay, so, I'm sorry, guys. Hit from behind while sitting at a dead stop waiting for oncoming traffic to clear in order to make a left. A vehicle traveling at least 90 to 100 kilometers an hour when it made contact. I was hit by a vehicle. Oh my gosh, I can't read. Luckily, I wasn't pushed into the oncoming traffic for me or for them. And luckily to have not been sent over the deep ditch on my right and sent rolling into the farmer's field. Just lucky. And more so now, it was, as it turns out, a very painful blessing in disguise. So aside from the all-over body pain and months of physiotherapy, I have been suffering from headaches, dizziness, and vertigo since that day. Guys, I can't get this out. My gosh. Go away. I have been suffering from headaches, dizziness, and vertigo since that day. I have now received a diagnosis of moderate traumatic brain injury, post-concussive disorder, and whiplash injury to both neck and spine. Due to my dizziness and headaches and some really funky snaps, crackles, and pops in my neck, and yes, I am an entire bowl of Rice Krispies, my wonderful physiotherapist sent a recommendation of MRI to my family doctor, and I know this is just repeating what I just told you, and I wouldn't have done that if I remembered it was in here. I'm sorry. Stating that although I had had x-rays the day of the accident, which had shown no obvious fractures, she refused to touch my neck until she had a clearer idea of what was going on in there. She may well have saved my life, and for that there are no words to express my deepest gratitude to her. God, I don't know, I got this tickle. So off I go to the hospital on August 25th for the first MRI on my head. 2 days later, my family doctor's office calls to say that I must see him ASAP. The next day comes another call saying that the MRI department needs me to come back in SAP and have the scan redone, this time using the contrasting dye. Red flag. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time reading here. We knew they had obviously seen something of concern on the first scan, but assumed it was something related to the accident. Although I had not hit my head, my brain took a terrible sloshing from the impact at that speed, and with me sitting at a dead stop. Perhaps some coagulated blood from a small bleed that had occurred that day and hadn't yet dissipated. Perhaps an area of contusion taking its sweet time in healing. Keeping in mind that this is so May, June, July, August, 3 months post-accident. And I think my doctor's concern was that, I mean, he had mentioned these things, and, you know, he said you could have had a small bleed just from the impact that would have stopped the same day. But, you know, he said, you know, we're 3 months on now and you're not getting any better. You know, you're still having all this vertigo and stuff. And I want to have a look in there. So I'm sorry, where was I? Perhaps some coagulated blood from a small bleed that had occurred that day and hadn't yet dissipated. Perhaps an area of contusion taking its sweet time in healing. But not this. Never in a million years this. On September 2nd, I went to see my family doctor to get the results. And I remember this, that he was on vacation at this time. And he was coming back on the 2nd of September. And his secretary, who's been with him for, oh gosh, I don't know, 31 years she's been with him. And she and I know each other, you know, really well too. Had said to me, I've booked you in for like 9:10 that morning. And I said, well, I have an appointment with him, like my monthly, you know, regular checkup since the accident. I think it was on the 4th or the 5th or something. And I said, can I not, you know, just wait until then to see him? And she said, no, Kelly, you need to come in and see him the day he returns from holidays, and you are his first patient of the day. I knew it was bad the moment I saw his face. He's been my doctor since I was 17 years old and is a trusted friend as well. And I remember him coming in the door of the exam room, and I'm sitting there in the chair, and I'm, you know, whatever. I mean, I knew that, you know, they'd obviously seen something, but I didn't, you know, expect this. And he came in the door, and he had something in his hand, I guess my file or something in his hand, and he shut the door with his back, and he just leaned against the door, and he just stood there and looked at me, like, you know, looked at me directly in the eyes, and he didn't say anything, nothing, not hi, not hey, how's it going, Kel, not nothing, not for, you know, that many beats, just nothing. He just stared at me, and I stood right up. And I looked at him and I said, what's the matter? What's wrong? And he said, sit down, Kel. Just sit down. And I said, what's going on? What's wrong? And he said, Kelly, just sit down. And I said, I'm going to use his first name because I guess it doesn't really matter that much. I'm not going to. Okay, I'm just going to say that his first name starts with the letter K. So I said to him, K, what the fuck is going on? And he said, Kel, just sit down, okay, please? So I sat down, and I'm sitting, you know, literally right on the little edge of the chair. Like, my arse is barely on the chair. And I said to him, you know, what's going on? So he looked at me, and he said, you have a tumor, Kel, in your brain. And I remember the first word out of my mouth when he said that to me was, I went, why? That was it's almost comical now, but I mean, that was the first thing that flew out of my mouth. Why? You know, like, and I said, wait, what? So of course there was shock, there was denial, there was disbelief, there was, you know, the immediate thought that I think all of us, anybody who has, you know, a potentially life-threatening diagnosis given to them like that, is that, no, this is, you know, my camera's screwing up here, guys. I'm really sorry. I'm being a newbie here. Somebody screwed up. Somebody's, you know, gotten my test results mixed up with someone else's. I mean, that you can't be possibly talking about me. Like, that's, what are you talking about? So there was shock, there was denial, there was disbelief, and a bone-chilling primal sort of fear that I have never felt in my life. So this is what those poor deer felt like in the headlights in that moment before impact. Sorry, guys. Frozen in shock and panic, waiting for that blow that would end their lives. And keeping in mind, again, you know, what I've done for a living all these years, and I have had a number of people in my care that have had brain tumors. Most of them were geriatric, you know, they were quite elderly and, you know, near the end of life, and nothing was going to be done, you know, to treat the tumor. I had a gentleman one time that was 93, I believe, and they had found a tumor. He had actually had a fall, and give his head a good smack. So, of course, they had to take a look at his head to see, you know, had he actually fractured his skull or anything. I mean, he was 93, he's pretty fragile. And it was when they had done that they had discovered that he had a brain tumor. And that was probably what actually caused the fall, because it caused his balance to be poor. But, yeah, it's just, yeah. So the next 12 days were pure agony, frozen in that state, waiting for that blow to be delivered by some nameless, faceless stranger in a cold and unfamiliar Toronto hospital. Or for those headlights to narrowly miss me and pass me by, leaving me to go on about my normal life. Well, I guess what was left of my normal life at that point after the accident. So, yesterday, and this is why I hadn't posted this until this date, was almost 2 weeks after diagnosis, because I didn't really want to say anything too publicly until we kind of knew what was going on. My doctor had told me what the radiologist that had read the initial MRI, what kind of tumor he thought, but I mean, it's not an exact science. And it could be anywhere from a GBM, which, as all of my brain tumor friends know, is a, why can't I think of it? Glioblastoma multiforme, which is brain cancer. It is the absolute worst type of tumor you can have. And anyone who's been following what's going on with Gord Downey from Tragically Hip, we actually watched his one-on-one with Peter Mansbridge, and if you get a chance to just Google that or go on YouTube, try to find it. It is extremely touching, extremely touching. He's, yeah, he's, it's treatable, it's manageable. They can buy him a little bit of time, but it's terminal. There's nothing that they can do when you have a tumor like that. And, you know, really, if there's a God in heaven, it's more kind when somebody who is that ill, and I'm not saying this about Gord Downey, but certainly with people that I've had in my care or whatever, that it is more kind if they pass from it sooner rather than later. You know, it's not fair to them to carry on like that, and it's you know, god awful on the family to have to stand and watch this person, you know, go by inches. So, So yesterday we went to meet with the neurosurgeon at Toronto Western Hospital. He is now neither nameless nor faceless and was just simply awesome. Besides the fact that he looks like a GQ model. Just had to add that in there. Very nice guy. We are so grateful that this man has been put in our path to help us through this. The tumor is there, as we knew. Oh my gosh. Sorry guys. Malfunction. Oh, come on. For heaven's sakes. Thank you. The tumor is there, as we knew it was. The best case scenario of what tumor are they talking about? I see no tumor. It's an area of injury from the accident and will heal on its own over time. Did not happen. For the first couple of seconds that, oh God, that was agony, because we got down to Toronto, we got into Toronto Western Hospital, and we had to wait about an hour for him. I know he's a very, very busy man, and I'm not saying anything against him, but we had to wait about an hour. So finally he comes in and he shakes both of our hands and he says hello, and I'm just a flippin' basket case, as you can well imagine, and my husband's not much better. And he sits down and he says, so Kelly, he said, I was reading in your charts that you were in quite a serious car accident a few months ago. And I reached out and grabbed a hold of Fonz's hand, because in that second, I thought, oh my God, that's what he's going to say. He's going to say that although this did sort of present as, you know, a potential area of tumor on the MRI, it's not. and it is actually an area of brain injury from the accident. You know, we might even have to do surgery, God forbid, or something, but you know, it will heal over time. It's not something that's potentially going to end your life. It's, you know, so just for that fraction of a second, we really thought that was, I thought that was what he was going to say, but unfortunately, no, that was not it. And I think he was just trying to get a little bit of, you know, background and, you know, stuff on me. So, so that did not happen. It's called a glioma astrocytoma and is in the left frontal lobe. So it's right about here. He's right about there. It's diffuse, which means a thinly spread out area rather than an actual lump. I think when you say tumor, a lot of people picture like a lump, you know, that can just sort of be taken away. And a lot of tumors are a lump, but this type of tumor is diffuse. So the best way that I can describe it, and I've been describing it this way for a while now, and this is probably going to gross you out, but you know, whatever. Sorry, but there's I can't think of any other way to describe it. Take a bowl. Okay, that's your skull. Take a big old scoop of ice cream and throw it in that bowl, right? Now pour chocolate syrup on that ice cream. So the bowl is your brain, or your skull. The ice cream is your brain, and the chocolate syrup or chocolate sauce is the tumor. So you know how it goes down in little tendrils, and so it does basically have sort of almost like tentacles. It's a very thin, spread out layer with all these little fingers and tentacles that kind of, you know, go in and about all the little cracks and crevices in your brain, and it is 3.0 centimeters in size. The neurosurgeon is quite confident that being considered a grade 2 tumor, that it is at present benign. These tumors, however, if left to their own devious little ways, can progress to a grade 3 or 4. These grades of tumors are malignant. So, next to the no tumor scenario, oh, for heaven's sakes, are you all right, guys? Are you okay? Did you hit your head? I'm so sorry. So next to the there is no tumor scenario, this is the best possible news. The headlights zoomed past, maybe clipped my bum a little, and I get to live. There is a 50% or a little better than 50% chance that I will have to have surgery in the future. As the tumor is diffuse and not a lump that can be simply removed, they will have to remove an area of brain tissue in order to remove it. Some deficits are possible. Risks, as with any surgery, especially on the brain, or they may not happen at all. Speech difficulties, as your speech center is located in your left brain in the frontal and temporal lobes. My nursing friends will understand. Left-sided stroke with right side affected equals aphasic, no speech. Who in the world? Somebody's outside ripping around on an ATV. Do you people not know I'm trying to blog in here? What's wrong? I have no idea who that is. Equals aphasic, which means unable to speak. And to those of you who know me, I'm sure you're well aware that if I can't talk, there's going to be some huge issues. Also, some potential interruption in the neural pathways that send the message to your limbs to move. Not that there's paralysis and the limbs can't move, but rather that the signal from brain to legs, etc., is not making the connection. So basically, you're left like somebody who's had a stroke. These are only possible deficits, and we are told that both, with time and therapy, can improve or disappear altogether. If they were to happen, we will deal with them together. My wonderful husband and I, as we have dealt with this since we got the awful news. He is and always will be my rock. Oh, Sorry, guys. Oh, where am I? He is and always will be my rock, my dearest love, and the only reason I've been able to hold it together at all in these last 2 hellish weeks. Simply there, sometimes terrified, sometimes optimistic and encouraging, sometimes angry and helpless at this thing that he can't protect me from. But there, just there, holding space for me and allowing me to just go through it, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly, ugly cry. I will share a post on holding space with all of you. It's a beautiful concept that I certainly had heard of before, of course, being in, palliative care. It's a beautiful concept that applies to any time of fear or stress in a person's life, from helping a critically ill or elderly person to die with dignity and peace, to standing alongside someone who struggles with addiction. And so, this is what I ask of you, my dearest peoples. Walk beside me on this journey and hold space for me. I'm to have another MRI in November, which is good news in itself, as the doctor doesn't feel that I'm in imminent danger to monitor for any changes. Surgery then? Who knows? Surgery in 6 months, 3 months, a year and a half from now? Who knows? We'll see. So I'm almost 2 years post diagnosis. At September 2nd will be 2 years. For now, we are content and oh so relieved, blessed and happy of this prognosis. Do yourselves a favor. Live like you were dying. Not in a crazy, dangerous, foolish kind of way, but just appreciate and breathe and love. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time to read this lengthy post. You all know me, I like to talk. Feel free to ask me anything or make any comments you like. As I said, I will be damned if I will hide or be ashamed of having a brain tumor. And we sure could use all the love and support we can get. I feel a profound sense of relief to hit post and share our story with you. By the way, love you. So yeah, so that was my coming out story. Yeah, and I thought that was kind of, appropriate for me to read that to you, because these words are what I was feeling at that time. Sorry, just excuse me one sec, I gotta honk my snout. And this is a snout, people, look at the snout. Alrighty, I'm back. Okay, so, I just wanted to point out, I'm wearing gray today. It's a happy 150th birthday Canada shirt, but it's gray. And there's a reason behind that. And of course, all of my friends from all over the world, from all the brain tumor sites, will understand that, how pink is for breast cancer, and, there's all different colors for different cancers. Brain cancer and brain tumor color is gray, because gray matters, right? You have gray matter. And May is Brain Tumor and Brain Cancer Awareness Month. So our slogan is Go Gray in May. And we all refer to ourselves as warriors with a capital W, because we are warriors. And you know what? Since the beginning of this, I'm going to fight like a girl. And this little bitch in my head better watch it. But anyways, let's not piss him off, because right now he's okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about that day, the day that I got the diagnosis. And when, he was explaining everything to me, and it was just kind of, going in one ear and out the other. I mean, even though I understand all the medical terminology, of course, I'm looking at him like he's got 6 heads. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, buddy? So then I think I just sat there staring at him, and then he looked at me and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I have no idea. I don't even know how to respond to that. You've left me speechless, buddy. Nobody ever does this." He said, "Do you have any questions for me?" And I said, "Can I drive?" as I said, at that time I was still on modified duties, and I had to drive in order to be able to work and earn a living. And he said, I know that today, because it's my doctor's 2 hours away, sorry, in this, or an hour and a half, 2 hours away in the city. And he said to me, I know that you have to drive home today. He said, where's your husband? And I said, he's at work. He said, I know that you have to drive home today, but then I want you to park your vehicle. And I do not want you behind the wheel of a vehicle until we get you, seen. And he said to me, I'm going to send you to a neurosurgeon at Toronto General Hospital, and, we'll find out what's going on. And I was so stunned. I mean, he might as well have said to me, I have a confession to make. I'm from Pluto, how does one react to a diagnosis like that? And it's even, at the time I thought it's such a rare thing, and it truly isn't. It, unfortunately, very, very sadly, it truly is not as rare as one would think. And it is one of the leading causes of death in children, unfortunately. So he said, go home today, don't drive after that. And I got up to leave, like it was pretty much, all that could be said was said. And I remember he hugged me. And like I said, we've known each other a very, very long time, and he hugged me. And you would think that would make me, I wasn't crying at all. I was just so flabbergasted that I couldn't even cry. And he hugged me, and you would think that would have got me crying. And he said to me, don't worry, Cal, we're going to take care of you. Now it makes me cry, but he said, don't worry, we're going to take care of you. We're going to make this right. He said, we're going to take care of you, and I'll make sure that I send you to the best of the best, and we're going to get this, we'll get this fixed. We'll get it figured. So I walked out of the doctor's office, and where I usually park, there's you can pay to park or you can be cheap, and everybody does this. There's a soccer field that's just slightly up from where the doctor's office is, and everybody parks in the parking lot of this soccer field, and it's free parking. So I had to walk back up to my truck, and I smoked still then. And, as soon as I got outside the door of the doctor's office, my hands are just, and I lit a cigarette, and I walked to the truck, and I just remember I kept thinking, get me there, just get me there, just get me there, because I could feel it now starting to well up. And I thought, just get me to my truck before I lose my marbles. And I got to the truck, and I sat down in my truck, and I turned it on, and I grabbed my phone, and I called my husband at work. And he knew that I was going for this appointment that day, and also was aware that they had seen something on the MRI, and again the same thing, expecting that it was something to do with the accident. And so I called him, and I hadn't cried yet until I heard his voice. And all I kept thinking was, my husband has lost 2 of his sisters. He's one of 10 kids, typical Nuvi family. He's lost 2 of his sisters now, both to cancer. And one of them, one of his older sisters, Bet, he lost her to brain cancer. And yeah, so I think she passed in 2000. And I kept thinking that. Oh my God, this is, it's Bet all over again, and this is just going to kill him. Obviously, I mean, I'm his wife, and, so I was okay until I heard his voice, and then I just lost my shit, obviously. And he said, what's wrong, baby? What's wrong? And I said, he just told me I have a brain tumor. He just said I have a tumor in my brain. And he said, what? What are you talking about? And I said, I have a fucking brain tumor. And, of course, he's standing on the floor at work in the middle of the plant, and surrounded by all his, guy friends, right? And I guess he said, I'm on my way. And, I guess he just ran past his supervisor and he said, I gotta go. I gotta go. Like, I don't even know that he gave him an explanation. He probably looked like he was close to tears himself at that point. He said, I gotta go. I gotta go. There's an emergency. I gotta go. And he just left. And I think at that point in time, in that moment, you're like, you know what? After 30 years of being here, you don't like that? Fire me. I don't really care. My wife just told me that she's just been told she has a brain tumor. So anyway, the plan of action for that day was my best friend of, well, we met. Oh boy, if there's anybody that can just get me balling, it's Dew. So my best friend's name is Marie, but her nickname is Dew, or Dewey, or Doo-Doo. And it has been since she was a little girl. It's just a cutesy little name that her family gave her when she was little, and it just has stuck, you know, through her whole life. And I can't call her Marie. I don't think I've ever called her Marie. And we first met when my eldest son, who's now 30, was about 17, 18 months old. And she was pregnant with her oldest daughter, her first child, who will be, next month in September, will be 29. So that's how long ago. That's how far back we go. And I don't know, there's always, if you believe in you know, reincarnation or you know, I'm not really sure what I believe. Sometimes you meet somebody and there's just that instant connection, and whether it's a potential, you know, partner, as in, you know, a love relationship, or it's somebody that, you know, there's just an instant bang, friendship. And there was always something about Dew that, I always wondered who she was and who she was to me in another life. That's always how I felt. I've always felt like maybe she was my grandmother, or you know, my sister. She was somebody really, really, really important to me. Somebody who meant my heart to me. So it's always been that way with she and I. We've just always been extremely close. So that day, I had said to her, she lives down in that area as well. So I had said to her, you know what, I haven't seen you in a freaking donkey's years. Again, because we do live, you know, far apart now. I'm closing my computer. It's in my bloody way. Sorry guys. Propping again here. You know, we don't get to see each other enough anymore. And so I'm going to go to my doctor's appointment. Then I'm going to pop in and have a quick visit. And do you want a coffee? And she's like, well, yeah, duh. If you're bringing a Timmy's, get your ass over here. So anyways, I hung up from my husband, and then I called Dew. And I remember she answered the phone, and of course I was just hysterical. And she said to me, what's wrong? What's wrong, honey? And I said, oh my God, Dew. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. This is about as raw as it gets, eh? No filter. I said, oh my God, Dew, I have a brain tumor. And of course her reaction was pretty much the same as everybody else. What the fuck are you talking about? I said, I just left my doctor's, and the MRI showed that I have a brain tumor. And I said to her, do you still want coffee? Oh, Lordy. And she said, are you still, she said, what, you're not still coming out here? And I said, you're fucking bet your ass I am. If there's ever a time that I needed you, it's now. And I always had that feeling with Dew that, in times of stress or times when you were sad or just, you know, just life, and, you know, everybody has bad times, I always wanted to just go to her, lay my head in her lap, and cry. Because she's she's my safe spot, you know? So, I said, yeah, of course I'm still coming. So I went and got us a Timmy's, and I had said to my husband, I'm still going to Dew's, you got to meet me at Dew's. And he said, okay. So
got out there, got to do's, and she was standing in the driveway waiting for me. And I think neither one of us knew what to say. I mean, what the hell do you say, right? And I said to her, like, I can't, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening. And she started to cry, of course, and she said, I promised myself I wasn't going to cry. And I said to her, oh my, that's like, the whole, Miss America, I promised myself I wasn't going to. Anyway, we started to laugh because it came out the wrong way and whatever. But anyway, we sat down and held hands and talked, and my doctor had told me that depending on if I had to have surgery and where they would have to remove certain parts and stuff, that he wasn't too worried about it, but he said you could have your memory affected a little bit, and I think that scared me more than anything. Take what you want, but don't. I've said this for years. I'm digressing again, but I have said for years that if you were given the choice of, as you age, you get to choose between either your physical body breaking down or your mental status breaking down, which one would you choose? And I have always said that I will choose my physical body over my mental status or cognitive status 1,000% every time. And the reason behind that being was that if I'm sitting in a wheelchair, but I still know who my husband and my children and my grandkids are, then that's fine. I'll just have to look up at them and say, hi, baby, because I know who they are, rather than, being someone with really advanced dementia who's just wandering and wandering and wandering and wandering in circles endlessly, who physically is really not that much affected in terms of like their mobility or whatever.